The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus was teaching in a synagogue on the Sabbath, and a woman was there who for 18 years had been crippled by a spirit. She was bent over, completely incapable of standing erect. When Jesus saw her, he called to her and said, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." He laid his hand on her, and she at once stood up straight and glorified God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant that Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, said to the crowd in reply, "There are 6 days when work should be done. Come on those days and be cured, not on the Sabbath day." The Lord said to him in reply, "Hypocrites! Did not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his ass from the manger and lead it out for watering? This daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years now, ought she not to have been set free on the Sabbath day from this bondage?" When he said this, all his adversaries were humiliated, and the whole crowd rejoiced at all the splendid deeds done by him. The Gospel of the Lord. So Jesus encounters a lot of people who had made up their mind about him before they ever met him. And so they were very closed-mindedness. We don't want to be closed-minded. We want to be open-minded. But I heard one time we don't want to be so open-minded that our brain falls out of our head, So this balance between having our convictions and being open-minded. And so Jesus encounters this person, and he uses these very, again, practical and concrete realities. You untie your mule, you untie your ox on the Sabbath day. Can't I unbind this woman from her affliction? And so, he's humiliated. And instead of humility being a source of virtue for this man and for the scribes and the Pharisees and the Herodians and all of the others, it's going to turn them into rage, and they're going to obviously attack and kill Jesus. And in love, he's going to lay down his life. As we said, Paul says, "Be imitators of God as beloved children, and live in love as Christ loved us." And what was the great command we heard this weekend? To love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so Christ loved us, handed himself over for us as that sacrificial offering. And so we receive the love of Christ. And Paul, here he sets up, Paul is always, and when I say always, very often weaved into his letters, giving us this contrast between light and darkness, between the flesh and the spirit, between truth and lies, between God and Satan. And so Paul again admonishes us this morning. You were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of the light. And what is the darkness that he speaks about? He speaks about immorality, impurity, greed. And he says these things are idolatry. My brothers and sisters, God is calling us to this purity of worship in love, with an open mind, but not an open mind so open that our reason, our brain, our faith, the commandments of God fall out. I want to address Psalm number 1 ever so briefly because it's so beautiful. Blessed the man who follows not the counsel of the wicked, nor walks in the way of the sinners, nor sits in the company of the insolent. How is it that our morality is corrupted? How is it that we move from darkness or from light to darkness or darkness to light? You know, the psalmist is encouraging us not to follow the counsel, that is to talk with the wicked, not to walk with the wicked, not to sit in their company. And so, my brothers and sisters, certainly we must evangelize, we must preach, we must teach, we must be a light to the world, and that will bring us into challenging situations. But to be rooted in our faith with an open mind to dialogue, but at the same time grounded in this light of purity, hating immorality, impurity, greed, and those things that really become idolatry. May God spare us from idolatry and keep us open to His grace and His truth.